Welcome to the Frozen Layer podcast, brought to you by ZenTek Consultants CA, where we will discuss all things related to the CAD, BIM, and construction markets, with a little humor thrown in for good measure. I am your host, Steve Fahey. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Frozen Layer podcast. Our goal with the Frozen Layer is to share valuable information that our CAD, BIM, and construction clients will find useful and help them increase productivity, just like freezing a layer in CAD. I'm pleased to have David Mills joining me today. David has an extensive background implementing and supporting technology in the construction management field. He has written numerous articles and blogs and delivers training on Bluebeam, Procore, and Excel, as well as puts up with all of us here at ZenTek. David, welcome back to the Frozen Layer podcast.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me on today. Hope you had a wonderful holiday and a great start to the new year.
It was good and bad. It was a great break, but our little guy fell ill and ended up in the emergency room on Christmas Day for 4 hours, and a flu turned into a double ear infection and swollen tonsils, so heavy dose of antibiotics, and he's back on track and in school. So it was a different holiday, but we still got through it. So.
Oh, we all have those holidays. I'm glad he's doing okay now. Oh, man. Well, we got the whole new year. We got a whole year to look forward to now.
Exactly. It's schools. What do you expect? They're kids. You know, they touch everything. And
probably just wanted to get out of it.
That's what he said. He goes, why do I have to get sick on the last day of school before Christmas break? It could have happened a week before, and then he would have missed a week of school. In his mind, that would have been better. So anyway, it all worked out. So today, David, I want to talk about something a little bit different. For today's topic, I'd like to discuss how technology, specifically Bluebeam for today, can help firms lower their carbon footprint. Most of the time, you don't think of software as a method to accomplish this. You tend to think of larger scale items, especially when you think about construction projects, carbon capture concrete, sustainably sourced materials, recycling excess waste materials, etc. Most construction projects are large in scale, and you tend to think in the same scale when you're looking for savings. Technology can play a vital role in this process. As we know, a lot of firms are taking advantage of Bluebeam, but many are not. What are your thoughts related to better utilizing technology to help reduce waste?
So the most a blatant one that we could talk about is just not utilizing 7, 8, 9, 10, sets of drawings throughout the lifetime of a project. So we have that one, but we also have utilizing takeoffs, so you can have better takeoffs in terms of both accuracy and also, for anyone who did not know, Bluebeam with their custom columns can calculate waste takeoffs for us. So, if you have a typical 100 square feet wall and just based on your historical information that you use about 10% waste, well, that you can get into that to both better organize and order your material and also track it. Instead of this project wasting 10%, you may have ordered an extra 10% for waste. Maybe try to get it down to 8%, 7%. We all know that's not possible for every trade, just carpentry and that matter. But I think we can all play a good role in reducing kind of how much material we are wasting.
Yeah,
and Bluebeam can definitely help with that.
That's a huge factor on all of the projects. I know when you drive by the sites, even something as small as a residential house, you'll see the pile of wood sitting out front, and you look at it and a lot of pieces of wood that look like it could be reused, but it's just not worth it for them to try and pick through it and move it to the next site. So it goes in the dumpster and off it goes. Now, extrapolate that out to a $1 billion hospital project and just think about it. So better control is obviously going to lead to lower waste.
Yeah, we were having like 2, 3. We had 30-yard dumpsters, and 2 to 3 of those were being exchanged out every single day on the hospital project I worked on.
Yeah.
But, I see some of these 30-yard dumpsters in front of these houses, and they're full. and they just started. They didn't even start any of the drywall on the inside yet. That's
Yeah.
just from the framing alone.
Yeah.
Um, so and we all know that drywall, and when you start to get into some of the more finished material, that leads to a lot of waste as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So usually when people think of Bluebeam, they think, oh, it's a PDF viewer, and that's it. You can open up a PDF and view it. It really is so much more than that. If we focus on the digital, from the digital drawing standpoint, how does Bluebeam help related to traditional printing, like in the digital world?
So the first and kind of basic thing is marking up and doing all your notes on a drawing. Sometimes we get those new drawing sets and you may have to duplicate your notes. Bluebeam, we don't have to worry about that. So you don't need to waste time recopying any of your notes that you may have had on the main floor plan if that got revised. But highlighting, whatever you have on that drawing, but also talk about quantity takeoff just a second ago. So helps tremendously save time, money with that, along with, again, resources, again, that paper. We all know that, when I was doing a fitness center, typically about 150 sheets, each drawing set was $100 for a 30 by 42 set of drawings. And out of the life cycle of that project, we would probably print close to 7-8 drawing sets for permits, bulletins, addendums, and even just the original baseline set for everyone. And when you just calculate a $100 set of drawings times, again, that's, we'll say, a conservative number of 7, that's $700 right there per project. And those costs aren't recuperated anywhere. Right? They're $700 at the end of the day. That's just going in the trash or recycled. Recycle your paper, especially your large drawing sets. But at the end of the day, that is just doing nothing. Now, when you start digitizing stuff, start using iPads, computers, and more in the field. Well, yeah, it has a higher upfront cost. An iPad, $600? Could be more than that. A laptop, a decent one, again, $600. But that's one project of your drawings right there.
Yeah.
And of course, we will always need one set of drawings, 2 sets of drawings on the project site for permits usually. But the fact that we just saved out on 5 sets of drawings, $500 right there, saved a little bit of paper, saved, again, time. Also, what I like with these technologies is now you don't need to walk back to a job site trailer or walk around with that set of drawings or half-size set of drawings in your project. You could just take your iPad, your laptop, and go around from there. Obviously, some software, some experiences are going to be better than others. If you're using a Mac trying to navigate in Bluebeam doesn't support Mac anymore as of I think this past year, if I remember correctly. You're gonna have a bad time. So you really want to be able to actually kind of research what you are getting as well. Get with a consultant, get with an IT company, get with other tradesmen that may have switched to a more digital world, and see also what their benefits have gone. That's the best way I like to tell people is like, hey, if you see somebody else doing a good idea, ask them why is it a good idea? Why did they switch? We all, as companies and as people, we should always be developing the next step forward, and having a digital construction site is the future.
Yeah. And like you said, from the green perspective, you're saving some paper, you're saving ink, you're saving transportation of those files. Typically, I know in the old days, many years ago, a company I used to have some partnerships with and be around. They had the really old-fashioned and actual reproduction machine, like the old pneumonia machine, and you get the
Wow.
blue paper coming out, and so that was the original repro setup, and the amount of paper and material that they went through was just astronomical. 30 years ago, doing the sheet sets, like you said, large projects, they could be printing those up, staple them together, throw them in the courier, and deliver them to 6 or 7 different offices around the city, and that's for one project. So you look
And
now in the digital world, you create your drawings in CAD,
yeah,
you create a PDF, you email the drawing sets to your subs, they'll load it up, they can send it out to the job site from a greenhouse position, from a savings position. That's saving a fair bit. So kind of leads me to my
and
next point. Sorry, go ahead.
oh yeah, you brought up something I didn't even think about. Again, the carbon from both the travel and also the ink, right? I mean, ink is not the most uh, healthy material to always be around.
Yeah.
So and along with the toner and all that, so we get a little bit of that, get rid of a little bit of that, get rid of the carbon monoxide from the traveling of the paper. And also you said, when you send it out to your subcontractors, right? I was just talking about the 6, 7 sets of drawings that me as a general contractor would order, but that's exponential really once those subcontractors start printing them out.
Yeah.
They may have another 7 sets, 6 sets themselves as well. And next thing you know, there's 40, 50 printed sets of your drawing. That could have all been eliminated just due to just switching to a more digitalized world.
Yeah, and that my next point was going to be about collaboration and how Bluebeam
Oh,
benefits, and that's we basically covered it off just in our conversation. They're talking about how much better it is to create your drawing sets in a PDF, share the file set with your subs, and then they can share it with anybody they're dealing with, and you can mark it up digitally, you can share it. So it's just a better system. We continually evolve, and taking better advantage of the technology that's available is going to help with that. So
man, I remember when I was an intern at a previous company, when you talked about that collaboration, I had to drop off like 4 or 5 drawings, sheets, not a drawing set, to our it was one of our contractors to mark it up for some reason. He had some good ideas for the owner, and again, the gas to get there, the time, my time that it took, the contractor's time to then mark up those drawings and then deliver them back to us, could have all been done within 10, 15 minutes in Bluebeam right there. Again, plus could have been doing that live. Bluebeam has that studio and sessions feature. We can be having a live meeting together. That way we don't need 20 people to travel to a job site. And COVID definitely, I think made a lot of people realize we don't need to be going to a job site every week or every 2 weeks. We can do a lot of these virtually, and we can do a lot of planning virtually as well using sessions, instead of putting out these drawings, instead of traveling and more.
yeah, I want to talk a little bit further regarding that, but right now we're just going to break for a quick commercial. Today's Frozen Layer podcast is being brought to you by our ZenTek training division. ZenTek has a variety of training options available, from public courses, private group courses, on-demand courses, as well as custom courses to meet all your design needs. We offer training in Bluebeam, Autodesk, Procore, and BricsCAD, with options from beginner through to advanced. To learn more, visit our website, ZenTekConsultants.net, or give us a call, 866-824-4459, or you can email sales@ZenTekConsultants.net. ZenTek Consultants CA for all your technology consulting needs. All right, welcome back. We were talking about collaboration and using Bluebeam Studio, And it kind of leads into my next thought where, yeah, you think about a job site, you think about the project managers, the eyes and the ears on the job site that are there to make sure that everything is going right and looking for potential problems to report back to the design team. And we all remember being a kid and driving by and seeing 4 or 5 guys huddled around the hood of a truck with the paper on the hood, flipping the drawings over, looking. And how can a tool like Bluebeam help the project managers on the job site?
Yeah, exactly. Collaboration, like I said, instead of all huddling around a truck, like your example was, now they could all be back at their offices, and look at the, you know, drawings together. Plus, also on their own time, or again, they could schedule a meeting together where they all look at the drawings, together virtually. They could all do their own notes and markups, together, all at the same time. They don't need to be emailing each other back and forth, or again, passing a set of drawings and mailing it from one person to another. We are in a lot of the projects that we have nowadays. People travel for. It's not no longer you had a local contractor. I mean, those certainly still exist. Um, but a lot of the contractors that I've seen, especially general contractors and CMs, they have, projects in different states across the state, 2, 3 hour drive, possibly. And when you can just again, save the time, save any emissions, save the paper costs, it's just going to be a benefit for everyone at the end of the day. Just learning, um, how to utilize software and technology in you guys in your workflow.
Yeah, it's very similar here in Canada, where the largest construction companies in Canada, most of them are headquartered in Toronto, but they're doing construction projects across the country. So they're collaborating with local firms, local subs, architects, engineers. So having that ability to digitally share everything and keep everybody up to date is huge. So you had mentioned earlier about the iPad and Bluebeam no longer supporting Mac, but it does still work on iPad. And
That's correct. Yep.
yeah, and I believe you mentioned about taking photos on the job site and such, and just wanted to know further to those points. We have a lot of clients who now are using iPads on the job, and we frequently speak to clients that are looking to advance their Bluebeam knowledge, and it's one of the recommendations we make. From your point of view, how does Bluebeam work with this setup?
So this is actually one thing I teach during a lot of my classes, or for Bluebeam, is I tell them all the tools that we do have, but also what we can do with the iPad is, walk around. Whether you are a superintendent, project manager, intern, tradesman, project manager, again, whoever it is, you could have that iPad. You could walk around, have the floor plan in front of you. You could go to a different page, look at those details, look at the finish schedule, look at the hardware schedule, all within a couple of minutes. Again, versus compared to walking around with a hard set of drawings, flipping through the pages manually, or again, walking back to the construction trailer to, look at all that. You have a tremendous amount of information that you can have on the iPad that it is frankly impossible to walk around with you. Again, you got the drawings, specifications. You could, submittals. You could do all your submittals through Bluebeam. Put all your submittals on there. RFIs, drawing updates, drawing overlays. Maybe you want to see the architectural and plumbing plans together on top of each other to look at any type of conflicts for farther down the line. That's just not possible, or at least not easily doable with the paper sets of drawings. There are some great people out here that can do that, but for the vast majority of individuals, it would be just a significantly easier and easier to read, to just use the iPad. The amount of time it saved me when I was doing pre-bid walkthroughs, and typically I was the only person with an iPad in the company. I would again take all my photos, attach the photos to the room. I would have a little notes thing that were to put all my notes in. And when I would go back to our chief estimator and start doing other work within that project, he is just amazed at how efficient that was, how clean it was, how professional it looked. I didn't think it looked that professional. I was still relatively new in Bluebeam, but any text on a PDF looks professional to some individuals. But you could just put a tremendous amount of information on an iPad that is, I don't even know how large an iPad is. A lot smaller than a set of drawings, and a lot smaller than a spec book. Smaller than a sheet of paper is usually what most iPads are.
Yeah.
And just having all that information at your fingertips that you can easily reference to, without really much more brain power than it takes to navigate to your email, is tremendously useful.
Yeah, and you can get the iPads now with your cell. What are the little cell?
The 5G, well, not the 5G, but the Wi-Fi and cell phone signal.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi and cell signal built right into it. So when you're on the job site, you don't have to tether it to your phone. You can hook right into your server and access files and be saving right back to the database right from the iPad Live. So it's
exactly
the SIM card or the whatever it is that makes it connect with the cellular. So you can tell I'm not a cellular expert, so we should get back to what we know.
well, yeah, but one thing about that you bring up though is, yes, it is incredibly important for to have that syncing, to have that internet connectivity, because a lot of the pros that we just talked about, start to diminish. A lot of companies like to try to skim by and try to use phones for Bluebeam and other softwares, and not get their staff a proper tablet or a proper laptop. And I don't know if anyone's ever tried to look at a drawing on a phone if you've got one in your email. It is one of the most miserable things, and I highly recommend no one doing that. Just spend the $500 on an iPad, because the quality of life improvement over the phone is very, very large.
Yeah, your viewable area grows quite substantially when you get to that 10.1 inch screen or even a 12-inch screen. So you mentioned your training on iPad there. I'm going to do a shameless plug for our ZenTek training. Would you agree a lot of our Bluebeam users don't really know just how powerful Bluebeam the tool is? I know from the side that I'm on, more sales and talking initially with clients, and I'll be speaking with them about our training courses, and I'll hear the feedback quite frequently that Bluebeam was pretty easy, and the users picked it up pretty quickly, and we're pretty happy with where we are and what we're doing. But I think it comes down to, if you don't know what something can do, you don't know what you're missing out on. So, from a trainer's perspective and someone that's trained clients, do you feel the same, and have you gotten that kind of feedback?
Yeah, one of the we teach a lot of classes ranging from Bluebeam for beginners all the way to advanced users who understand the software. And in every single one of those classes, I guarantee everyone they will learn at least one new thing. Most of the time, it's learning a lot of new things. And I'll give my own personal experience. When I joined ZenTek last year, I took the Bluebeam for Beginners class. Obviously, part of my hiring was to make sure I was knowledgeable in Bluebeam and the other softwares that I knew. However, I still learned stuff in the Bluebeam for Beginners class, and I had been using it for 5-6 years at that point.
Yeah.
Um, and the biggest thing I hear from our clients at the end of the class, or I'll get an email afterwards. We do have a little email. We always allow our clients to email us afterwards if they have a question. We will always answer it. Is, hey, I really appreciate you teaching me how to do this. I've utilized this feature in Bluebeam to make this step in my workflow easier. And now they may have been using Bluebeam for 2-3 years, but they just didn't know that was a feature. And if you don't know about it, you just can't. How do you know? How do you know what it can do?
Yeah.
You may say Bluebeam, and even then, like, I'm a very good Bluebeam professional, but even then, every once a month, I'll learn something new. A student will teach me something new. In fact, again, 6 months ago, I learned something new from a student regarding a hotkey. Appreciate him. I always give him a call out. I talk about that in our class every single time.
Yeah.
When that topic comes up, I'm like, a student taught me this. I did not know about this. So I give him a little call out every single time because with these softwares, and I'm not just concluding Bluebeam, it's anything. It is almost impossible to be an entirely full professional on it just because of how wide-reaching and how broad some of these softwares are.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what you're exposed to. So, like
Yep.
I said, you used it for 5 years. You got competent using it in the method that you need it to produce the work you
Yep.
required. But then when you come into our environment where we're training generic, and we might be training somebody from electrical or plumbing or architectural or structural, and they all kind of need slightly different results from the tool, you need to be able to teach them all how to get those results. So you're getting exposed to things that were outside of what you were using.
Plus, one thing I like to bring up is when you start getting like some more formal training, you can make sure you don't pick up any bad habits. I still have bad habits on Bluebeam that I struggle to get rid of.
Yep.
To this day, just because I was doing those steps, doing that muscle memory for 5-6 years. And if you could get your staff on early to not do those, they are going to be a lot happier. And I even see some of that in some of our advanced and medium level classes. Is users they're so used to doing something one way, and when we show them the new faster way, not even just faster, just a different way of doing it, they still want to do the old way.
Yeah.
Again, I struggle with that. I'm going to probably assume you do. I mean, everyone has those things that they just want to continue to do the old way, but doing something the new way is just going to be faster for everyone at the end of the day. It just takes a little bit of learning to do.
I'm one of those rare people that just do everything right the first time. So, I don't have that issue.
I'm glad you are perfect, Steve. And not many of us. You are the 1 in the 7 billion or 8 billion, whatever we're at now.
Yeah, I still draft with my left hand on the keyboard, my right hand on the mouse. So, yeah,
I'm left-handed, so I use my left hand on the mouse.
So just to sort of circle back around, we started off talking about how Bluebeam can help construction companies potentially lower their greenhouse output, carbon footprint. I think we covered a wide range of topics today, but I just wanted to sort of end on that note to say that it is a tool, and it's a little thing, but all little things add up, and they can benefit and be a positive for where we're moving forward. So. On that note, David, I would like to thank you for joining me today on the Frozen Layer podcast. And until next time, keep freezing those layers.